Chapter 15 left us wondering if Tao was moving in the right direction to find the secret cavern to paint longhorns. So now here's chapter 16 of Boy of the Painted Cave. Tao limped on through the darkness, guided only by the unseen wall. The air was cool, yet he felt a dampness under his deerskin robe, and beads of sweat stood out on his forehead. He had trapped in this pitch-black underground passage. His hand brushed across the cold wall as he felt his way along, groping through the darkness with his left hand, holding tight to his crutch with the other. The gloom closed in on him, surrounding him, and he was sure he was going in the wrong direction. He shuffled along, slowly listening to the scraping of his feet, his eyes trying to penetrate the blackness. Then he smelled the reeking odor of burning fat. It was faint, but he took a deep breath and it became stronger. He limped faster, his hand out in front of him, reaching. Smoke meant fire, and fire meant light. He kept on going, his heart filled with new hope. Suddenly, far in the distance, he thought he saw a faint glimmer of light. It danced for a moment, then went out. It came again, a pinpoint of brightness far in the hazy darkness. It seemed to glow, then fade again. He limped toward it eagerly, stumbling, falling, then picking himself up. The soft yellow gleam became brighter. The white haze and the burning smell became stronger. Tao was breathing fast, his heart beating wildly. Soon he was able to see clearly. He hurried on, almost running now. A few moments later, he stumbled into a magnificent, brightly lit chamber. Glowing tallow lamps were set in niches along the walls. Scattered across the floor of the cavern were hollowed out stones and shells filled with paints and oils. Empty mammoth bones, standing upright, held brushes and sticks of charcoal. He blinked, and for a moment he looked around in silent awe, unable to believe his eyes. He had found the secret cavern. Tao dropped his crutch and fell back against the wall, his mind filled with wonder. Many times he had heard about the secret cavern, but never did he imagine it held such splendor, such color and beauty. Long rows of great hairy mammoths marched across the cavern wall, together with running horses, bristling boars, and giant cave bears, all in varied shades of red, tawny browns, and yellows. Images of woolly rhinos covered the opposite wall, while scattered groups of antelope and deer capered across the high arched ceilings. The almost life-size animals seemed to march through the cavern as they were alive, moving and turning in the light of the flickering lamps. Tao was amazed by the dazzling colors. The animals were just as he had seen them as they wandered across the plains or through the forest. The roe deer were tense, the mammoths ponderous, the bears and cave lions strong and fearsome. They were all there, brought to life in this secret place, the kind of drawings and images Tao had always dreamed of. He breathed deeply, filled with a sense of belonging. Now he would be a part of this secret place forever. He was glad that Graybeard had asked him to come. Tao walked over to a large, unmarked portion of the wall. He rubbed across it with the palm of his hand and felt its cool, clean smoothness. He reached into Graybeard's leather pouch, his fingers groping around for the graven stones. One by one, he took them out until he found the slate with the engraving of the longhorn bull. He shook his hand to loosen them up, then picked up a large stick of charcoal. Now he would make his first mark on the wall of the secret cavern. With a wide sweep of his arm, he made a large outline. He held up the sketch for a moment, studying it. Then he began to draw. He copied the sketch line for line, drawing the image of a longhorn. He drew the great square head with its long curving horns. He swung his arms freely, sketching in the massive shoulders, the thick chest, and the muscular body. Next, he reached into the deerskin pouch and took out a long flint chisel. Using a stone from the floor of the cave as a hammer, he began to carve out a shallow circle around the eye and nostril, just the way Graybeard had taught him. For a moment, he stepped back, nodding with satisfaction. Then quickly he outlined 2, 3 more longhorns, one behind the other. With his bad foot, he pushed 3 of the paint pots closer to the wall, where they would be within easy reach. He picked up a large feather brush and began filling in the colors, applying the yellows first, then shading in with reds and browns. Slowly the longhorns came alive, their muscles rippling, their sides heaving in the wavering lamplight. On and on Tao painted, watching the herd of longhorns grow beneath his hand, watching it march across the long gray wall. He felt himself lifted up. He forgot about taboos. He forgot about the clan laws. He became so caught up with his painting that he even forgot about Graybeard and the clan hunters. He finished his longhorns, and now, with wild strokes of his brush, he outlined a mammoth, drawing a high domed head, the curved tusk and waving trunk. He worked swiftly, with long sweeping strokes, letting his hand flow freely over the cavern wall. Again, he brushed in the colors, first the yellows, then the reds and browns, and finally the deep shadows of black and gray. He was almost finished when he heard the shuffling sound of feet coming through the tunnel. He turned slowly, the dripping paintbrush still in his hand. Now the hunters, Volt and Garth, all of them, would see how well he could draw, and Graybeard would name him the new cave painter. He stood quietly to one side, a proud smile on his face. Tao watched as the clan hunters filed into the secret cavern. He saw them glance around, blinking in the flickering light. He waited for Graybeard to come in, but the old man was not with them. Suddenly, Tao's smile died. He saw the look of horror on Garth's face, and he knew he had done something wrong. He heard a vengeful curse and turned to see Volt standing behind him, stunned disbelief burning in the big leader's eyes. The hunters came toward him slowly, grumbling in their throats. A cold sweat beaded his forehead. He held up his hand. No, he pleaded. No. Graybeard will tell you. It is the will of the spirits. Volt stepped forward, pointing an accusing finger at the boy. His scarred face was contorted in livid rage. You have defiled this secret place, he stormed. You are a curse on this clan, you and that evil wolf dog. The violent words rang through the cavern and echoed in Tao's ears. Graybeard sent me here, Tao said, to paint the longhorn. He pointed at the drawing he had just finished. Graybeard! But the hunters would not even look at the paintings. They crowded closer, glowering down at the boy. You lie, said Garth, pushing forward and pulling the leather bag from Tao's shoulder. He held it up for all to see. Look, he has stolen the shaman's pouch. Perhaps he has killed Graybeard, said another, and would now take his place. Tao was stunned. He shook his head. No, he said. Graybeard gave me the pouch. He will tell you himself. Volt's eyes narrowed. Where is the shaman? Tao swallowed harder. He did not come with you? You know he is not with us, growled Garth. What have you done with him? Nothing, said Tao, his eyes begging them to understand. Graybeard will come. He gave his word. Then where is he? Demanded Bolt. I left the shaman near the oak wood. He was sick, but I would not harm him. He was my friend. He taught me to paint in the caves. The hunter's eyes were filled with dark suspicion. They grabbed him roughly, pushing and pulling him through the twisting tunnel and out of the cave. They took him down to the edge of the camp where they bound his hands and feet. In the dim light of the distant campfire, Tao saw the fury in their eyes. Find the shaman, he pleaded. He will tell you I speak the truth. Still the hunters would not listen. They gathered around him, bristling with anger, shaking their spears, their flint knives ready in their hands. Just then Bolt came into the light of the fire, his stocky legs planted wide apart, his eyes flashing. Wait, he ordered. The boy has angered the evil spirit of the Longhorns. Now let him die by their wrath. Let him face Saxon, the sacred bull. And that is chapter 16, Boy of the Painted Cane.